All right, back with another video, and this time I have the disclaimer in my description below. So again, this is not medical advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, and these are things that I do and mess around with, so I can figure out what works and what doesn't for my own purposes. Um, it's like 6 a.m. over here, 5 a.m. Um, and the computer is blaring this light on my face. So we'll get to it. Got a couple of questions. The first one that's been kind of discussed and asked multiple times is about the GLP-1s and should you stay on them for like how long? Like forever? Uh, if I come off, will I have the hunger problems? And then some people are already coming off and they're having hunger issues. So first off, I can tell you right now that you didn't do it correctly if you are having hunger issues coming off, which means you probably went on and you titrated up your dose and you still ate the same types of foods and you did not use any type of mental therapy to overcome your addictive behaviors. And yes, being obese and overeating in moderation is an addictive behavior, and that is a type of eating disorder. So you didn't do it correctly. Um, Now you're going to have to reap the reward of being more hungry. So whether it's a generation one, two, or three GLP-1, it's all going to be relatively the same coming off. The third generation, the Retta, is going to have less of an effect on hunger blunting, but you should still get the benefits of having the addictive behavior being blunted and again at a low dose. So you shouldn't have those side effects of skin sensitivity or um, anhedonia, like where you don't have like a dopamine response or I say like a desire to seek out pleasure or entertainment. So you're just kind of like depressed in a way. So you probably went too high on the dose. Again, I from what I find, the lower the dose for the longer period of time, the better. So that way, you're pretty much setting up a foundation for cellular health and for your pancreas. A low and slow, long process is going to be better than a quick process. If you're building a multi-million dollar mansion, I wouldn't want it to be done in 6 months. I wouldn't want it to be done in a year. I want it to take its time so that the foundation, the walls, everything inside, uh, the architecture, the attention to detail, I want it to be perfect. And that takes time. So I don't understand why you're treating your body totally different. Same thing if I mean, you can use the analogy of a car. Our analogy of a car for our bodies is used widely. If you're having a custom built car, like straight up custom from the chassis and up, why would you want it to be done so fast? It's either A, a piece of crap car with a bunch of plastics, or B, they just didn't do things correctly and they skip steps or the car won't work whenever you get it back from the shop, right? It takes a very long time. Our bodies are no different. There's no quick fix. Same thing with these GLP-1s, man. I'm telling you, there's no quick fix. So if you're coming off of GLP-1, first of all, it depends on your dose. You need to titrate down, and you can't just titrate down like a couple of days, like a couple of like like a half a milligram every couple of days. No, I think this needs to be a longer process. Like we're talking like maybe half a milligram every like if it's retatrutide, but if it's semaglutide, I mean we're talking like zero point 0.2 milligrams um every 2 weeks. Like you need to titrate down. Um Outside of that, the next thing is going to be your food intake. It needs to be food that's going to keep you fuller longer, but also supply the amino acids and the fatty acids that you need to make sure that your body is healthy and your immune system is still healthy. We need to feed that mitochondria. So lean sources of meat, not fatty sources of meat, but lean sources of meat, things that your body takes a while to digest and break down. Also, it helps your body to recognize the need to release GLP-1 because it's taking that long of a time to digest and break down. Uh, and then um, that should help your gut bacteria. So you're going to have to throw in fiber as well sometimes. But the gut bacteria outside of eating that meat is really what you need. You need a healthy environment for breaking down all the extra protein. So, if we're going with lean sources of meat, we need to supplement with essential fatty acids. The essential fatty acids are going to help you with maintaining your hormone levels, uh, cholesterol levels, joint integrity. And I'm talking to people that are not on exogenous hormones. So we might need a little bit more. So whether that be coming from extra fish oil, extra krill oil, macadamia nut oil, that's what I would prefer. Um, but if some of the meat that you're eating should be fish as well, some fatty fish, so you can get the natural uh, omega-3 fatty acids. So we really want to reduce the amount of inflammation, not to the point where we are just, I guess, like overly antioxidant. You do want your body to allow some inflammation for muscle growth, repair, and just response to immune system. So it builds up its own immune system. So when you do get sick, your body knows how to respond. So um, the one thing about the gut health that we just continue learning about with these, uh, I mean, now even more now, so with the GLP-1s, is how there might be different strains of gut bacteria, uh, or like probiotics, different strains of probiotics and species that will help us improving the environment and the stomach lining. Now, the problem is everyone's kind of different. Everyone's at a different point as far as like um, just what their body can tolerate and what it cannot tolerate. So there is a study that came out, which I really love, like the science alert. So let me share. Mm, oop, let's see. There we go. So this science alert website, it's pretty cool. You get some ideas of what, there we go. You get some ideas of what type of research is going on out there without having to dig through, I guess, media. I'm not the biggest fan of media. I don't consume a lot of it of like nonsense. So I like for these things to be fed to me, and then I can look into it and just see, hey, like this is kind of interesting. Let me look further into it, and then you can go to Google Scholar and you can start looking it up there. Are you a researcher? No, you're not a researcher. You are just a Googler. But if you are someone who went through courses and classes for research, then you can look at the research papers and come up with your own opinion. But they have these enteroendocrine cells that are responsible in the gut for producing natural GLP-1. So what we know about that is that there are metabolites of tryptophan, which can help with these EEC problems. And so these metabolites, again, from tryptophan, which is a lot of things come like it's amino acid. A lot of it's from food, right? So from poultry, eggs, cheese, some seeds. Um, it's going to help with that EEC. Now, within that EEC, it can activate receptors. So these hydrocarbon receptors. Now, what's that going to try to do is going to try to make a way for your body to adapt um, our diets to our bacteria. So if you have a poor diet, then your bacteria will be less diverse and weaker. So if we can supplement with a better form of probiotics and prebiotics and postbiotics, then we might be able to alterate our gut bacteria. Now, the problem that I see most people is that they don't go with, I would say they don't go with soil-based organisms, which I believe that would be the number one. If you're a religious person, you believe that we came from the earth, uh, um, like God created our bodies from the earth, then the soil has the same microbiome as our gut microbiome, right? So you'd want soil-based organisms, not probiotics and prebiotics that are either fibers, like a prebiotic fiber, or probiotics that are grown within a lab and kind of synthetically made, because it's not like naturally occurring, right? Like it's not that adaptive. What it does when you have something that's synthetic, it doesn't adapt naturally, right? It forces its way to adapt, or it forces other things to adapt to its preferred environment. It's the same way if we were to go and live within a community that maybe we feel like an outcast in. Like we would have to either fake the way that we live and respond to others and communicate with others, or we'd force them to communicate the way that we do. So I'm a big fan of SBO probiotics. And again, the ancient nutrition one is the one that I recommend. The guy behind it, Jordan Rubin, he is the man behind Garden of Life who started it up before he sold it off. He is now with Ancient Nutrition, and that is what he is known for. He has helped his health and many others quite tremendously. So, um, let's see, was that so? The thing also about the SBOs is that it's a natural uh, diversity of microbiome within the soil, right? Which means now this is all speculation. If we can increase the strength of our gut bacteria from probiotics, but also our food sources, so less processed food, less like those prepackaged foods, less inflammatory foods. So again, things that we might find that are inflammatory toward us and not others. Then we can strengthen the gut bacteria, strengthen the EEC response and the receptors to create more GLP-1. So that's all through diet. Okay. So coming off of GLP-1s, that's the way through diet. So high protein, high omega-3 fatty acids, and then we want a good soil-based probiotic. Carbohydrates are going to be essential for if we are performing in the gym and increasing workload capacity and refilling glycogen stores so we can again go back into the gym and perform better and get stronger. Our body wants that glycogen to be utilized for that performance. But first we got to get our gut down, and that means making sure that these tryptophan metabolites uh, are being utilized correctly and not being pushed out through our body or being killed off. Um, so that's the first thing that we got to do. Second is exercise. I'm a big believer that exercise, resistance training, it's going to help stimulate your body's natural insulin sensitivity. So through the GLUT4 response, right? That's way more powerful than berberine or dihydroberberine, metformin, all that stuff. I'm a big believer in that. So GLUT4 response, right? We have a lot of different GLUT enzymes, but GLUT4 helps with the insulin sensitivity. if you work out, I theorize and I believe that you can get away with more uh, sugars in your diet and more calories, assuming you're following the first three steps of coming off of GLP-1s with the protein and the gut microbiome and the fatty acids, because we're trying to build muscle. And the more muscle you have, then the more glycogen we can store in our body. The more muscle we have, the more calories that you need. If you're exercising and you are eating a all-around healthy diet and you have some sugar here and there around your workouts to boost performance in the gym, you think of it as like a PED. I am a believer that you may blunt those addictive behaviors for consuming that food, that want and desire for sugary processed foods or sugary, fatty, salty processed foods, because you're putting it to use. Your body is using it as a fuel source, and it's not there just using it as a hobby. So that's my recommendation. And everyone's different, I understand, but I also don't believe that there is a huge uh, problem staying on the GLP-1s as of right now at a low dose. At a low dose, I see a problem if you are at a high dose for sure. But I mean, again, I'm using 1 milligram of retatrutide and freak, man. So I don't see a problem because I'm not having any adverse effects and I'm not seeing the potential of having any adverse effects. If I were to go up to 8, 10, 14, what's funny is that people are doing this and they're not seeing better results, right? Like, go figure. You're listening to these other influencers out there who claim to know all these things, who claim to be researchers, who get sick all the time, and who also, when they end up having a adverse effect to a drug that they're taking or a peptide that they're taking, they, what do? They they try to stop that adverse effect or mitigate the response with another drug. Who else does that? Pharmaceutical companies, right? And the whole reason why you're taking these peptides is to say, screw you, pharmacy. Like, I don't need you. I don't need to pay this deductible. I don't need to pay for my health insurance. You guys are dumb. Your doctors are dumb. So I want to go to someone else and learn and optimize my body that way. So I don't understand why they're following the same practices as a pharmaceutical company uh, uh, recommends the medical field to do. So you're chasing drugs with other drugs to stop the effects of other drugs. So it doesn't make any sense. Like, you should just be able to alleviate symptoms by increasing or decreasing doses, and or adding in natural vitamins and minerals that helps our body to maintain a healthier mitochondrial function, right? Um, anyways, so the next question someone had, it was actually about my diet. I'm a right now it's just chicken, rice, veg, so like broccolini, Brussels sprouts. Yeah, I eat cruciferous vegetables. Like, everyone says, oh, it causes so much bloating and all this stuff. Like, I post my pictures on social media and on some of these uh, YouTube thumbnails. I'm not bloated mess, and these pictures, some of them are in the morning, some of them are like literally at night before I go to bed. So I don't see the problem with these vegetables. The problem is if you don't cook them, you have to break down the cellulose, right? Or you overconsume. So now we're talking about, you know, over overconsumption and over volume, like eating something in a voluminous amount to where the health benefits are now outweighed by that volume and causing adverse effects. So you need to cook your vegetables. You need to cook tomatoes, same thing. If you cook tomatoes, you break down that skin, you release more lycopene, you release more vitamins from that from the tomatoes. It's the same for everything. It doesn't matter. And you can even do the same with like pineapple and other fruits, peaches. It can help release more flavonoids. It can help release more vitamins and minerals. But vegetables, for sure, never ever eat raw vegetables. We're not a cow. We don't have 6 chambers in our stomach. So you're having problems because of that. There's so many health benefits of cruciferous vegetables, and you can try out fermenting them yourself with sugars and vinegars, right, and salt. So you can do that if you like. But sometimes, again, everyone's stomach's a little bit different. You can't handle a lot. So, like, if you're doing kimchi or sauerkraut, like, it might just be like a tablespoon, right? So, like, we're talking tiny, tiny, tiny amount. Kefir, same idea. Like, it just might be a tiny amount, and then work your body's uh, its tolerance upward. Um, because like this is even cool, man. Again, this is why I love the little science articles that are sent to me. Um, so this is from Science Tech Daily. It's talking about a natural molecule wipes out 90% of cavity causing plaque. And I was like, oh, cool. That might be some side of like bacteria, SBO. No, it's DIM, right? Um, this is from cruciferous vegetables and like broccoli, right? So it's really, really cool. This is something they're looking into. This is not used in um, uh, in hygiene practices right now, but it's something that is possible because it could reduce the biofilm by 90%, preventing the bacteria from multiplying. So like, um, so just make sure that it reduces the stickiness of everything, right? So I think that's kind of cool. Um, because you got to think like whenever you sleep with your mouth open, which a lot of us do, it does create bacterial growth as well. So first thing in the morning, besides brushing your teeth, I mean, rinsing your mouth out with water. helps to kind of break that up as well. Um, so yeah, but in my diet, so I do eat those chicken. I don't eat. I'm not right now. I haven't eaten beef in quite some time. And I eat a lot of sushi, but my sushi is not your sushi, right? I think we're a different breed. Sushi to me is sashimi and nigiri. Nothing like none of that mayo crap. None of the imitation crab. Nothing like that. Like it's got to be fresh fish, right? Escalar, salmon, tuna, and rice. That's it. That's all. That's my sushi. And no rolls. Like I'm not a big fan of rolls. Um, again, that's what it is. Um, outside of that, carbs is I'm not the biggest fan of potatoes. I really am not. I've tried to force feed potatoes, but I don't not a big fan. So it's typically rice, cream of rice, rice cakes. So try to keep the carbs with least amount of fat. And then fruits. So I have a lot of fruits in my diet as well. Dates, honey, apples, um, bananas, stuff like that. Okay. Even onions. Onions do not bother me. And onions do have quite a bit of carbs for them. So don't go away thinking that they're carb free. They do have some carbs in them. And I mean, think of it like the rotten app. Like it's like the apple's nasty cousin, right? Like there's a good amount of carbs in there. And they do ferment into like sugars, which we are now figuring out some of the fibers, the corn soluble fibers. We're actually digesting some of those, and yeah, I I think that we're consuming more carbs in what we thought were low carb products and low carb foods. Um, so yeah, that's my diet pretty much right now, and I drink about 3 gallons of fluid a day, and I consume between eight between 8 and even some days as high as 10 grams of sodium, not salt, sodium, right? So, because salt yields like 33% sodium or something like that. Like a gram of salt yields 33% sodium. So, like roughly, maybe pink Himalayan sea salt's a little bit higher yield, but um, I sweat a lot. I do a lot of activity. I think a lot. My heart beats, my muscles contract. I pee a lot. So with all the 3 gallons of fluid, I'm peeing out more. So water chases sodium, and you got to replenish. And then I also take a good amount of magnesium, taurine, and potassium throughout the day. Potassium, my food sources are very high in potassium, seeing that I'm eating natural foods. It was even higher whenever I had red meat in my diet. So that's that. And yeah, I do consume whey protein. Whey protein isolate is what's preferred, but I don't mind doing like a concentrate isolate blend. I'll just do that one at night before I go to bed. So if I do have any problems, I'm waking up flat stomach and I'm not really noticing any type of like distension because I am sleeping. Um, Someone asked about my footwear. I wear Vivo barefoot shoes and I've been wearing them for years now. And I have about one, two, three, four, five. I have 5 pairs currently. Um, I Here's the thing. I believe I'm a believer in making your feet very, very strong, and that we should let our toes spread out more. So have a wide toe box. And I don't believe high arches are really that good. I naturally have high arches. They have dropped a little bit, but not like disgustingly flat. Like you see some people with like disgusting caveman nomadic feet, right? That's I don't have that. I do have calluses on the bottom of my feet pads now, but I can also walk outside in this Texas heat on the concrete and not have a problem with it, right? Um, I think that's cool, right? But I think that we're also making a mistake if you are trying to transition into barefoot because you believe that that's going to make you more strong and powerful and connect with the ground. You need to slowly get into it. So same thing with peptides and other PEDs. Slowly introduce yourself into it. Do not go to the thinnest one. You because you're the conception of this shoe and barefoot shoes in general are that our ancestors were were as close to the ground as possible and they didn't have shoes and they built strong feet and they can run over sticks and stuff and then not hurt them. And we want to strengthen our ankles and our um uh, um our uh geez, can't remember the name, but our toes, our tarsals, right? So we want to make sure that we strengthen all that because pain will be referred from the ground up. So from if we have lower back pain, it might be coming and stemming from our feet and ankles. We have shoulder pain, same idea. So we want to start from the ground up. However, again, let's go back to this. Cavemen did not have concrete. They so we have different textures of land now. So we have concrete, we have asphalt, we have a lot of different things that we tiles, wood. We have all these different types of like laminate woods, and it's a it doesn't allow the it doesn't allow forces to go from the ground uh, from our feet to the ground to soften the impact. So I like the looks of Vivo Barefoot. I love them. I love uh, how my feet don't cramp up anymore because my feet are a little bit wider at the front, and now they're even wider. Um, but I'm used to that. My feet are so strong now. So like when I first got the Vivos for the first year, 2 years, like I had so much pain because I was walking on concrete 24/7. I'm doing like 20,000 steps a day, right? So it's like it is very hard to transition into that. And working in a hospital as well, right? Like it is not the prettiest setting. So your feet hurt, but your feet are, you have to get used to it. If you're outside a lot, I think they are really handy. They have trail shoes now, which I don't like. I don't do trails anymore just because our kids are so young and they won't stand up to the Texas heat right now. But in the gym and stuff, like I don't use any other shoes, man, and I'm still using them. Like to me, it's better than barefoot because I don't want to see you in your socks in the gym. But I do think that you got to use them cautiously because again, our ancestors did not have concrete. So the force that you're generating with every step when you land it to the ground is not being absorbed from the soil. It's literally going right back up to your knees. So you might end up having some knee pain, ankle pain, some capillaries maybe being burst a little bit around your ankle, around your feet. But again, that's totally fine. Your body has a way to get rid of all that and and make sure that you don't have like any blood pooling. And again, assuming that you're healthy. So, but I do believe that it does benefit us to a degree with increasing the feet strength. So if our feet are stronger, then everything else will be stronger. We can grip the ground. We can have less aches and pains from our lower back and sciatic. So um, yeah, I think that's it today. I'll leave the other questions for another video. I think this is long enough. If you could like, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, that's it, man. All right, see you guys next time.